Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, I'll be refuting one of the common contentions on the internet against the Kalam cosmological argument, namely the B theory of time and how it supposedly refutes the Kalam. Now, initially, I made a video on this topic, right? A lot of people saw it about. For my channel, so it was a decent amount. Now, I made a mistake there regarding my understanding of the B theory of time, which is why I deleted that video and I'm uploading this one to correct that mistake. But as far as atheists are concerned and contentions to the Kalam cosmological argument is concerned, nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing is changed in that regard. Now, basically, what I had a misunderstanding was about uh, how past, present, and future exist on the B theory of time. This is where I was incorrect, and now I'll correct this misunderstanding. Now, the difference between A and B theory of time. On the A theory of time, which is basically the common sense view of time, right? The present is what is real. The past existed. The days before today, they existed, but they no longer exist. And the future does not exist, but it will exist. On the B theory of time, this is not the case. On the B theory of time, past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. Now, the Kalam works on both, right? But on B theory of time, a slight modification of the terms of the argument is required, because B theory is counterintuitive by its nature, so a slight modification of the terms is required for the B theory of time. Note this point: nothing in the B theory of time intrinsically refutes the fact that a past finite universe requires a cause. Even the earlier scientists, right, who made the arguments for beginning of the universe, most of the who found out the beginning of the universe, right, all of the scientists were B theorists. B theory has been around for a long time, for about a century, right? The philosophers and centuries for and scientists for most of the past century who have been making arguments for the beginning of the universe, right, and it requiring a cause, were B theory, most of them. So the atheist finding that basically the internet atheist finding, I want even the scholars, philosophers and scientists don't come up with nonsense like this, but the internet atheist finding that the B theory of time supposedly magically refutes the Kalam, it doesn't work. Now I'll go into premise 1 and 2 one by one and basically explain the argument, the contentions, and the responses. The premise 1 is whatever begins to exist has a cause. Now, on the A theory of time, since future is not real, right? Like I just explained, future events come into existence. That is what is called beginning to exist. For example, a house is supposed to be built tomorrow, right? That house is coming into existence tomorrow. So that's how a beginning is described on the A theory of time. On the B theory of time, since each moment past, basically on the B theory of time, right, each moment exists timelessly. Although there is a sequence, past, present, and future, and each moment in them, that moment exists timelessly. Keep this in mind. So, on a B theory of time, let's suppose a house is being built tomorrow. It is not actually coming into existence since future already exists. But on the B theory of time, a beginning would be defined in basically the way that it's past finite. So, although it's past finite, right? Although future exists, the events in the future, right, they basically have a starting point. They are past finite, and past finite things require a cause. Now, here's the basic explanation of this point, right? The atheist claim is, since on the past, present, and future in the B theory of time, each moment in past, present, and future exists timelessly, right? They don't come into existence, so they don't require a cause. Basically, causation goes out of the window on the B theory of time. This is the internet atheist claim, but this claim is false, extremely false, because let's say you see a house built tomorrow, right? And let's suppose the B theory of time is true. Then did that house begin to exist without a cause, or did it have causes? Causes are still required on the B theory of time. The fact of causation does not magically disappear on the B theory of time. So the atheist claim about basically a past finite universe on the B theory of time not requiring a cause is worthless. It's nothing different from their claim on the A theory of time. A or B theory makes zero difference regarding causation. And on a B theory of time in the Kalam, the premise is defined as basically being past finite. So B theory of time does absolutely nothing to refute premise 1 of the Kalam. And as far as premise 2 is concerned, right? Again, here the beginning of the universe will be defined as the universe being past finite. Nothing is changed in that regard. Even philosophers and scientists will admit, even atheist philosophers and scientists will admit that basically the beginning is the same case, although it's defined differently, right? Because but with regards to causation, uh, causation, nothing has changed. So if the universe is past finite, it still has the beginning in the same way in the beginning is in the A theory, which requires a cause. That position is not going anywhere. Although some atheists, philosophical atheists, even philosophers and scientists, they try to argue against causation, but absolutely nothing changes in regards to causation, either on A theory or B theory. Basically, B theory of time does nothing to change the argument in this regard. Beginning is defined differently, right? But requiring a cause, the part of the Kalam, right, where we bring in a creator, that has not changed. Now, what about the arguments for the beginning of the universe? They are basically three philosophical arguments. Argument from impossibility of existence of an actual infinite, impossibility of traversing an actual infinite, and impossibility of an infinite regress. There is nothing changed with regards to impossibility of traversing an actual infinite. And I think I explained this point in that arguments video, my video on argument for impossibility of traversing an actual infinite. If I didn't there, I'll make a new video on it. As for the argument about infinite regresses being impossible, nothing is changed there as well. As for the existence of an actual infinite, right, the argument can still be used, but it will basically cause problems for theists in this regard. Why? Because on the B theory of time, the future is also actually infinite instead of potentially infinite. So if you are a B theorist, right, and you basically take the position of an eternal afterlife, you can't use the argument for impossibility of an actual infinite, because it will cause problems for you. So these are the philosophical arguments. They apply as I explained here regarding beginning of the universe. What about the scientific arguments? Absolutely nothing changes in that regard. Like I said, the scientists who made the arguments about beginning of the universe, right, they were B theorists, most of them. Einstein was a B theorist and he believed in beginning of the universe. I can bet that Alexander Vilenkin is also a B theorist. He also believes in a beginning of the universe. I can give a lot more examples. Nothing is changed with regards to the scientific arguments for the beginning of the universe. Again, as for that cause being God, right, I don't think anything changes in that regard as well. So on the B theory of time, in conclusion, I hope you have understood the points I made regarding basically the explanation of the B theory of time, my mistake, and how that mistake is resolved, and how basically this contention does absolutely nothing to refute the Kalam cosmological argument. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Inshallah, I'll keep making more content like this. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum.